Hello, and welcome back to my Exchange Online Advanced Threat Protection demonstration part 2. I hope you had a chance to view my first part. And once again, this is Atul Raizada. I am a US Microsoft Gold partner helping customers with their Microsoft Cloud journey. And we are going to go into the live demonstration of Exchange Online ATP. With that, let's just jump into the actual solution. And I should be going to Microsoft Office 365 Admin Center first. So we are in Admin Center. I think you guys are familiar. We can go to the Exchange Admin Center. And in Exchange Admin Center, the ATP is configured advanced under advanced threats. You have only two options to configure. One is safe attachment, which we have talked about in our last presentation in the PowerPoint. And the second option is safe link. Just to remind you, the safe links are um, to scan all those malicious URLs in the email body, and the safe attachments are going to be looking for malicious phishing attacks and codes into the attachments. Now, the interesting part here is that we know how big the problem is, which we had established in our uh, first presentation. Now, if that big problem, that menace, could be resolved and could be handled in 15 minutes of work, I hope this is worth looking at it, right? So, and that's what I would show you here, that the whole configuration may take 15 minutes or less, right? So let's look at the safe link, the default setting right here. That's policy applies to the entire organization. And you can, if you have already identified some of those URLs, you can block them just by adding them right here. Now this goes back to the first presentation where we talked about the threat centric approach of ATP, where ATP has both the options of blocking the URLs as well as also rewriting the URLs, right? So here you can block it, and in the other settings you will see that you can also rewrite those URLs. And you can also say use safe links in Office 365 Pro Plus, Office for iOS and Android. So very straightforward. I don't think it needs any explanation. Now, you would also see that for locations selected above, do not track when users click safe links. I personally want to monitor that and see how my user community is behaving, because we are constantly communicating with our end users not to go and not to link into any, or not to click onto any suspicious email. And if they still do that, we need to see and probably educate them better. So this is our and learning curve about our user behavior. So that's why I don't want to check it. Now, do not let users click through the safe links to the original URL. Now, at this window, it looks a little difficult to explain what does these two means. But once you will see that in the action, then you will understand these two options very clearly. The safe link is actually a URL that has been rewritten by the ATP engine. I'm going to show you in few minutes. And after the safe link has been created, users may still go and click on that safe link, and that would take them to another web page where it will say that has been found a malicious website, and it would show up the original URL that was sent in that email. And when I say users should not be able to click that URL, that's no brainer, because that is exactly what we are trying to prevent. So why would I let user click on that link, right? That's the whole intent. And once you see it, then I think it would simplify these two options. Now, in addition to that, you can create policies for your organization, and very straightforward, very simple. If you look into these two policies, just the name of the policy setting, you can turn it on or off, right? URLs would be rewritten. And as we have already established in our first presentation, that attachments are one of the biggest security threat to organization because of these malicious codes. And most of the security appliances and devices that customers have, they do not do either no job or no good job around these attachments. And this is the time where we will see and showcase whether Microsoft ATP can handle this big challenge here, right? So definitely I want to check that option. We have already talked about these two options in the default setting, so I don't think we need to talk about these two. And you can also exclude certain URLs that you feel that should never be rewritten by ATP engine. So that gives you that option and flexibility in the solution. Next important thing, which I think is extremely important, uh, that that I would define here is that where and how you apply these policies. But at this point, I think it is prudent to mention that whenever we do this kind of a deployment and security initiative, this should be done in a controlled environment. When I say controlled environment, that could be a test environment or a demo environment or a lab environment. And once you are comfortable with that, then you go into the production with the industry IT standards, like start with test users and then go with pilot and then go with the full-blown users, right? Or the entire production workload. Now, in that respect, this option really helps you, because now you can say, hey, I'm not going to apply to my all workload. I'm going to start with the test user or test domain. And then you can also use a department to start with, like a pilot kind of a thing. And on top of it, you can exclude it. For an example, you can also select conditions. If this is the one, then you can have these two conditions. And let's say you go into exceptions, and you have chosen a distribution group which has got all HR folks, but in an HR folks, you do not want to apply to HR manager, right? So that that gives you that flexibility of applying these policies to the intended users. Very straightforward, very simple, and that's all you need to do. I'm applying in this example to my entire Office 365 tenant, though I have got 7 or 8 other SMTP domains in this demonstration environment, but I decided to just test it here. I also have another policy that you will see that gets applied only to a specific user. I think this is pretty straightforward, folks, here, and that's the only setting you need to do safely. Moving on to the safe attachment, again, you can create these settings here. I have one already created, safe attachment. I strongly recommend that you read this warning section carefully, because when you deploy safe attachment, especially monitor, replace, and block action, then it would cause a significant delay in the email delivery to your users. And that means I have seen in past that it may take about 4 minutes or 5 minutes sometime to deliver the attachment and to deliver the email. And the reason is self-explanatory, because each attachment has to be scanned by the ATP engine, and you may have multiple attachments, multiple types of files, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, right, PDF and whatnot, and different formatting and different sizes. So scanning can take some time, and as a result, delivery of that email could be delayed, and that's exactly what it is saying. But interestingly enough, there is one more option which is called as a dynamic delivery, which is in a preview mode, that takes care of that challenge. So if you read here dynamic delivery, right, if you read this one here, that explains you what it will do is, and we will see it in action in a few minutes, that it would deliver the email instantaneously without the attachment, with a mention that your attachment is being scanned by ATP, and once the scan is completed, then it will deliver the actual attachment. So that's pretty neat in my viewpoint, and we will be seeing that in action in a few minutes. You can also enable redirect, right, and you can apply it to a particular user. You can apply it to um, same condition that we have seen in the the safe link safe links option. So pretty straightforward, and as I said, it takes about 10-15 minutes to do that, which is worth doing in my viewpoint. And when you go there, now this is all good so far, but the actual implication is, can it really work for us? And that's what I would like to show you. I would try to show you at least, and see how this thing precipitates, right? All right, so I have probably somewhere a malicious code right here. So this is the code, right? It appears to come from DocuSign. This is not a DocuSign link you see there is some fake phishing email provider or URL, right? Lado decays, I don't know what it is, but let's see here. And I'm going to try to send this email to me and see whether it does the intended task, right? So let's launch my Outlook. And I don't want to use my corporate mailbox. I have got a Gmail account. I can use it as a guinea pig account. I can send an email from here to my tenant and say new mortgage, right? So we know that this has a phishing URL. I'm sending it to make sure that I'm sending it to the right mailbox. Send it here. Go to Office 365, go to the mailbox and see what happens. So if you read this here, this email has been delivered and it says the message was identified as a phishing scam, right? And that is exactly what was expected because this has a malicious URL. Now, when we talked about in the policy the safe links, here is the safe link. So if you click here, you will see at the bottom, look at the bottom of the screen where the URL has been rewritten to https na01 safelinks.protection.outlook.com and blah blah blah, right? So that's what the safe link actually means. And even if the user decides to go and click on the safe link, this is the behavior. They get this site that this website has been classified as malicious, and this is the actual URL. So now you understand those two options that I mentioned in the policy. Users should not be able to click this because we have set the setting there, right? Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but it proves that the solution works as expected. And that is the whole point, right? Not only the configuration part of it, but if you can see that it is actually working for your organization, that develops confidence in you, your organization, your CIO, CFO, and CISO and whatnot, right? And that is the value proposition of this demonstration here. Now we have seen the URL. Now let's see whether we can check the attachment, because attachments are more difficult to deal with. So I'm going to send an attachment here. Come on, I can't type. Huh? Just keep it. Come on. Attach the document. And here we go. Going back to our, here you go, right? So we have got the document, but attachment is scanning is in progress. As I promised, this is the dynamic delivery where we have not delayed the email delivery. We have let the email come in, but the document is still being scanned by the ATP engine. And it might take few minutes before it is actually released. So I'm going to go in the meanwhile, without boring you, let's go into the reporting capabilities of ATP. Now, some of the reports are available on Office 365 admin portal. If you go to the reports here, security and compliance, you have got tons of reports which talks about malicious related to EOP and protection here, right? top senders and recipients, top malware, malware detections, spam detections, send and receive email, and spoof email report, right? So just an example here. I don't know whether I have something here or not, but let's see. This is a demonstration environment, so not a lot of email comes into this environment, so I'm not uh, sure whether we will see anything here or not. But as I said, I don't see much here. But if I go to the actual security and compliance to see the threat protection related reporting, then I think I should be able to show you something here. So let's go to the security and compliance center. And once I get to the security and compliance center, I can go to the reports. Here you can schedule it and download those reports too. So you can manage schedule. Let's go to the dashboard. And here you have the reports related to ATP. Here you go, right? So we are not blocking here. We are doing the safe attachments. We are doing all this good stuff. See here, ATP safe links, engines, attachments, right? So that's a good reporting tool as well. So not only we are protecting the organizations from these possible phishing email attacks, but we also have a robust reporting functionality available, right? When I say we, I intend to say Microsoft. So again, going back here, the document that was being scanned is now released. It took about 3 minutes, if you see here, to get scanned. And now I have my document that we can look into, right? I'm going to download this document and see what did we accomplish. So we know that this document had a malicious URL, right? And this is the URL which still shows here. Now if I try to click this URL, my Windows Defender already identified it that this is a malicious URL, right? So this is good. My Windows 10 device is doing, but I'm a user. I really don't give. I say, okay, I'm gonna do it. And then what happens is, obviously, it has identified it as a malicious website, and I cannot click on this original URL. So what we have done so far, that we have proved followings. First, configuring ATP is about 10 to 15 minutes task, which is pretty impressive, simple, easy, fast, right? Second thing that we have proven here in this demonstration is that our URLs that has a malicious code is really being inspected by ATP engine and rewriting those URLs as expected. And even if those URLs have been now rewritten and they are converted into safe links, and if the user clicks on the safe link, it gets the message about a malicious website, and the users are still not able to click on the original URL because that's how we configure the ATP. We have also proven that our attachments are also being scanned, but we are not delaying the delivery of that message because of the scanning process, right? So message is delivered instantaneously with the message that ATP scan is in progress, and once the ATP scan is completed, then it delivers the attachment to the user or inbox. And then when the user downloads that attachment has been corrected and fixed because it has been rewritten that part of URL. So pretty impressive stuff. And on top of it, we have also seen that ATP also provides you a robust reporting capabilities. So not only you're examining and scanning all these emails, whether URLs or attachment, but you also have a reporting that you know exactly what is happening in your organization. Now, before I conclude my session here, I also want to mention that ATP is included in Exchange Online plan, Exchange Online, sorry, Office 365 E5 subscription, Microsoft 365, not Office 365, Microsoft 365 E3 and E5 both includes that. Unfortunately, ATP is not included with Exchange Online Plan 1 or Plan 2 Exchange, and it's also not included with E3 subscription, and it is not included in EMS, Enterprise Mobility Suite. So if any of your customer is using Exchange Online Plan 1, Plan 2, E3 subscription, or EMS E3, then they need to buy ATP as a separate subscription. Thank you so very much. I appreciate your time. I hope this was helpful. This was informative, and we'll be talking again in the next few session. Again, thank you so much, so very much, and have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.